seats after that.
Oh, you're gonna change seats everywhere.
I guarantee you, none of you in this room use baby wipes during the day. All of you guys are using dry ass toilet paper to peanut butter shit all over your ass.
First of all, men don't know how to wipe their butt.
Bullshit. Bullshit, Jazz. I know
Men don't know how to wipe their butt. You're the king.
Bullshit, Jazzy.
You're the kid mark kings. We don't.
Exactly, and they sleep in these dirty sheets with their poop particles all over.
Men need women
that's why they got all the pussy print juices down in y'all motherfucking thick pads. You nasty pussy motherfuckers.
Oh, now you don't like pussy, you like dick?
I say you're nasty pussy.
You're nasty
I like
pussy
clean pussy.
motherfucker.
I say you're nasty pussies.
Nasty pussy motherfucker.
Don't call us that.
Nasty.
Well, then
Yeah, you walking around here somewhere, you want to go on a date and go lay up, and you pull that motherfucking panty down with that motherfucking cotton. That shit is brown. Treat you ain't got no new panties in what, 2 years?
KP, ain't no way in hell. Ain't no. First of all, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that is a nasty. That is a nasty bitch.
Yeah, you take it home. Let's just talk
about
that. Nasty bitches out here.
I know. One day I went in the girls' bathroom. I was like, is women really like this? Ew.
Yes.
I saw it.
And one of my first jobs, I would tell you, when I was working in college, I think it was my sophomore year, I was working as a janitor, on campus, and I got a job in environmental services. I was like, oh, hell no. And women there like, fuck this shit. I'm like, man, fuck this shit. I'm like, nah, hell nah. I went to the cafeteria. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'll go work in the cafeteria. Fuck this shit.
The shit that people do is so nasty. Yeah, it's nasty. Someone bring Kathy up.
Who?
Kathy.
She's not here anymore.
Oh.
What, you wanted more?
I'm not looking at my phone. KP, who the hell are you talking to?
She's talking to that nasty bitch.
He's talking to you. I ain't gonna lie, we can barely hear you. Yeah, you started
shit. I'm like, nah, shit, I want touch.
I didn't know who the hell you was talking to.
Nigga, it's gone. I have a house. Shit.
I'm tired of y'all. I'm about to get off here in a minute. I'm finna smoke. Get the hell on.
Their logic is we're waging war. It's our right to wage war. We will continue to wage war. And by the way, send us the candy. That's not how the real world works. And they're discovering that, and you're discovering that. Okay? But you can't wage war on people and say, give me candy at the same time. You understand? I mean, is it sinking in a little?
He knows he got cooked.
I'm not going to give you candy, Lee, just so you understand. There's no candy that I'm going to give you to get you to agree.
Randy, as you were speaking,
either get it or you don't.
Randy, as you were speaking, he was monkeying you in the chat, so that's what's going on. Anyway, let Andre go. Doesn't matter.
No, you guys, look, it's a 3-on-1. You won't even let me talk for 10 seconds.
3-on-1. Okay.
Can I get 10 seconds?
Let Andre go.
No, I can't. Oh, man.
Give him 10 seconds and then I'll go.
Let Andre speak.
Give him just 10 seconds and I'll go after.
All right. If Andre says so, go. Lee, you got your 10 seconds. Take it or leave it.
Okay, like I said, Norm made a claim that in the Hamas charter it says they want to kill all the Jews around the world. I said, show me the line in the charter that says that.
I will.
I'm gonna be.
Is there any other
Look,
point?
it's not even 10 seconds. What did I say?
got it.
Not even 10 seconds, and I get interrupted.
I'll do it. What's your next point? I get it. I'll do it. What's your next point?
4 seconds.
Okay, my next point is Randy's running cover for you. He knows that's not in the charter, right?
No.
Instead of addressing that point, once again, you interrupt.
I
can
run
Okay,
say
that's
what
your
I
10
want
seconds.
without Norm. I'm not running cover for anybody.
Okay.
Are all the Palestinians running cover? What does this mean, the running cover?
So if I
Now
may
it's
comment,
Andre's turn.
I would like to quote a couple of things. So this is the source Hamas Covenant of 1988. It says, the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews. When the Jews will hide behind stones and trees the trees will say, "O Muslim, O Abdullah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Okay, that's first instance.
Okay, 1988 and the end of
Lee, don't
Do
interrupt.
not
Lee, you
interrupt
asked for
him.
something. Lee, I want you to listen to this carefully because you.
I didn't even get 10 seconds. You know what? Andrew talking. I didn't even get 10 seconds.
Lee, stop.
You got more than
Reading
10.
of the charter. You're going to be pro-Israel after this.
That's 1988. 1988. We're in 2025.
Promise, Lee.
This is more recent for you.
Lee, you're going to join the IDF now, Lee. Go ahead.
So this is Fadi Hamad, Hamas senior officials, 2019 speech. We must attack every Jew on the globe
That's not the charter. That's not the charter. That's not the.
by way of slaughter and killing, if God permits it. That's a senior official of Hamas. So the claim that Hamas or its representatives are not wanting to kill
I
all
didn't
the
say
Jews
that. I didn't say that. I said the charter.
He's reading.
Lee, don't interrupt. I sent you down. You come up after he finishes reading. Go ahead, Andre.
No, those are, he asked for instances where, like, there would be evident that Hamas wants to kill all the Jews. So, first one is the Hamas covenant. The second one is from the, mouth of the horse, so to speak. It's the senior official who basically sends the same type of message. So I'm not sure what his content.
He's in denial. Here's another line. Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it obliterated others before it. The martyr Imam Hassan al-Banna of blessed memory. This is in Hamas's charter. Why is this in their charter?
I found another one, Norm. So this is Mahmoud al-Khazar. That's Zahar, sorry. Mahmoud al-Zahar. He's a co-founder of Hamas. Okay, this is 2010 in an interview. There is no place for you, Jews, among us, and you have no future among the nations of the world. You are headed for annihilation.
Did you send me that? How did you get all that? I'd like to have that at my disposal. Could you text it to me? Text it to me personally. Okay. Now, let's bring Lee back up.
1 second. One second. Is that okay?
Okay.
These two, I think they're two ladies who want to speak. They've been asking in the chat for a while. So, how do you pronounce your name? Kaneko? Not sure. You wanted to speak?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. And I'm from Japan, and I'm a pure Japanese. I don't know the other countries' nationalities in my family, but I can speak English and Spanish and Japanese and Portuguese. And I'm very confused about talking in Clubhouse with the United States of American people. So I'm here. Okay?
Well, welcome.
Could you understand?
Welcome to you. Did you want to make a point?
Yeah, so I wanted to know about why the American people or United States of American people want to talk about Israel.
Because you have Jews and that are I don't know.
No.
Huh?
Not my responsibility, obligation.
No.
You have to explain about your opinion.
Okay. Kana, once you
it's
ask
simple.
a question,
There's Jews
let
that
him
live in
answer.
America, and there's also people that may not be Muslim, but they're Palestinians or descendants of Palestinians, and so there are people that are tied to the region in this. America is not a homeland like Japan, so We come from all over the world. So this room is mostly Jewish and Muslim.
She wasn't
That's why
done. She
we're
wasn't
talking.
done speaking.
I know the diversity already.
Okay.
Kevin
Thank
Coleman,
you.
may I explain to you?
Wait, I just want to ask, Lee asked for a reading of the, I guess he fled the room?
No, Lee
Who's he on
got
the
cooked.
stage?
Lee got cooked by
One second. Hold on. Kathy,
Lee's on the stage.
Keep cooking for the cooks. Keep cooking for the
I'm not
cooks.
cooking. I'm not cooking.
No, Lee,
So I think my opinion.
Wait a second.
Only my opinion.
Wait a second, Kano. Just wait a second. Lee, you heard us read the stuff. Do you have any response to what we read to you?
Yeah, you said the charter. I said the charter.
Yeah.
Why is he reading statements by some leaders? I said the charter. I was very direct.
We read both.
I was very direct.
We read both. What's your
Yeah,
response?
that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. That's called
Why is it
conflation.
relevant?
That's irrelevant.
If
It's called
Hamas says that,
conflation. You're conflating.
hang on.
Conflating two different things.
Hang on.
To make
We read you the chart. No. We read you both the charter. and
Okay,
the
I have
statements
to
of the
read
leaders.
here.
I'd like to answer Canacola's
One second.
No. I want to finish one conversation and then we'll have the next
She said he
conversation.
could go. Linda said she could go, and you totally.
Calm down, Pepe. Calm down. So, Lee, do you have any response to the fact that they want to kill all the Jews on the planet?
It doesn't say that in the charter. That's something you made up.
Okay, so it's a combination of what it says in the charter, in addition to what the military leader said. Do you have a response to what they said?
Like you said, we're taking one fact at a time, and the first statement you made was false. So let's take care of that.
Okay.
Then we can move on to
The first statement I made is correct, and the second statement I made is correct. Do you have a response to the words that we want to kill every Jew on the planet?
obviously
You can't
speech
respond to
defeats, so it's
false
okay.
acclamations.
There's no false
The
accusation.
first
We
fucking
read you the
charter
words
said
of
they
Hamas.
wanted to fucking annihilate the Jews. Like I've heard this conversation so many times, and these people are gonna they're just gonna deny it, and then move the goalposts. It's like fucking stupid even having this conversation with them. They probably had this conversation a million times.
What about the charter that said they were gonna kill all Catholics? What about that one?
Listen, could I answer her question why
Yeah,
we're
you can.
talking about this in the first place?
No, I want to finish the conversation about killing all the Jews, Randy. Hold that for 1 second. So,
Please, Norm. Please,
just
let
wait
us-
one
Norm, you're
second.
being really fucking obnoxious, dude.
It's okay. I'll get over it. So,
right.
Lee,
He
come
knows
back.
he
You
is,
do
and
your
that's
yeah,
why
you
he's
can come
with
back.
right?
So,
Do
Lee,
your thing.
Hamas said they want to kill all the Jews. What's your response?
It's a statement you made. Let's move on. You're boring the room.
I don't feel
Who
bored.
was the
Okay.
representative in Hamas?
It was also in their charter. All right, so you have no response.
No. Where was this published?
It's their official charter. You can find it.
No. Where was it published?
Yes.
Where was it published?
I'm sorry.
It was their
Yeah,
fucking
it's
charter. If you're that
it's their
fucking
charter.
stupid
Where
that you
was
don't
it
understand it, was their
I'm
fucking
sorry.
charter.
Published
I'm
universally.
asking you because I want to learn. What's your problem?
I posted references on
Why is he being so
on
defensive? I'm
Okay.
asking because I want to give
So
him a chance.
Andre,
It's
Yale
a fucking owner.
or a Jew.
Andre's trying to answer
Yale
you.
or a Jew.
He doesn't provide any proof.
Okay, hang on. I muted the room. We're going to go one at a time. Kathy, Andre will answer your question. Please stay quiet while he answers you. Go ahead, Andre.
Sorry, Kathy. So I posted a website for you. This is from lawyale.edu. And they are referencing the Hamas Covenant of 1968.
Okay, can you provide something that's academic, please?
18 August.
Yes, it's in the chat.
It has a fucking. It is academic.
Can you provide something that's academic?
It
doesn't get any more academic.
Kathy, this man was still speaking. Norm asked you to be quiet. I know that you're an adult, okay? At least you should be involving yourself in
know
this
what Yale
conversation.
is. Yale is one of the best universities in the United States. It's a very academic source.
To me.
Yes.
He's responding to me, not you.
Okay.
So
We're gonna go one at a time.
no, I don't want a website. I want an.
1 moment.
Okay, we're going to go one at a time. The academic institutions are online now.
It's on Yale.
The link to Hamas's charter is in the chat. Just scroll up and you'll see it. There are numerous other sources. That's the answer to your question, Kathy. Pepe, you were up. Go ahead.
So, just really quickly to add to what you said, I will be very quick, Pepe. So this is from 2008 Lillian Goldman Law Library, 127 Wall Street, New Haven, Connecticut. So it doesn't get any more academic than that. Sorry.
You want to reread? I was going to reiterate.
Yeah.
Basically, Yale. She might not know. She's not from the United States, but Yale, very prestigious university. Now, they have the top law school in the country, by the way, literally number one. But with that being said, here's the thing: is that I've heard this conversation reiterated so many times. Now, there are the people that you can reach that I would say, like, for example, some of the progressives or the young, confused people who are just used to hearing the surface layer chants such as, it's a genocide, it's a, apartheid state, it's, yada, yada, yada. But with the people you guys are kind of arguing with Lee, he's heard this shit before. He knows what he's doing. It is fruitless to try to win these people over. You're not going to turn these people into Zionists. I know that.
The thing is, it's not only to have a discussion with Lee. It's other people who may be in the room or listening in the audience.
Linda, can I ask a question, Linda?
Yes, Zagros, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Hi, guys. I have a question for the people from Israel, or the one who supports Israel. So as far as I'm concerned, I said many times I'm a journalist. I'm independent. If the United States were to decline in global influence, what the consequences would be for Israel? Because there is no superpower to help Israel, and also there is no superpower to send weapons. And also, politically and diplomatically, this would be a big disaster. Is there anyone to answer this question?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I hear my own echo, so somebody's going to have to answer. Oh, am I okay? Okay. So Israel's also forming alliances with other countries in the Middle East. So very soon there'll be normalization with Saudi Arabia, who's going to bring aboard 9 other Muslim countries. That's besides Israel's other allies. But you're right, America's a superpower. But another ally of of Israel would be, say, Australia, New Zealand, England, France, etc., and some Baltic countries. But your point is taken that America is a superpower. I don't know how. The truth is, I'm going to throw that. I would have liked to have asked Andre, because I think he would know the information by heart. But that's a good question, Zagros. I don't know. That is a good question.
But
I know that Israel... Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that obviously them being an ally of the United States and us, the most powerful country in the world, supporting them, especially like in the UN and everything else, is going to hold a lot of, it's obviously invaluable help. But do you think that without the US's help, do you think that they would, something bad would happen to them? This is the gentleman who asked the question.
Well, Pepe, Israel existed without United States support for the first
few decades, 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, for the first 20 years of its existence. By the way, Israel even had some support from Russia until it became clear that Israel was not going to become a communist satellite. So Israel, has lots of backup plans and backups of backups. Obviously, I'm going to say we, as a Jew and an American, are very grateful for American support. And that support comes because Israel serves America's interest. No other reason. Israel is not America is not in the business of arming countries that do not conform to its interests. That would be stupid. So Israel and the United States work very closely together, especially on intelligence. And intelligence is probably the most powerful and valuable weapon because it can prevent conflict. So I guess that's my answer to you. For the foreseeable future, America is probably Israel's best ally. It was true under Biden, and now we're seeing how Biden actually held us back in the prosecution of this war. And it's certainly true under the exact opposite of Biden, which is Donald John Trump from Queens, New York.
Andre, are you back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because you were on the phone when Zagros, who's a journalist, asked the question. His question was, if Israel did not have the backing of the United States as a superpower, do you think then Israel, what was your question, Zagros, will go into decline?
Yeah.
You asked the question, right, so I think Andre can provide a proper answer. Go, Andre.
I repeat the question. If the United States were to decline in global influence, like the former Soviet Union, what the consequences would be for Israel? There is no superpower to help you. There's no, you don't receive many weapons, especially the advanced weapons, and in terms of military, politics, and diplomatically. And the area is boiling. You have 22 Arab countries, at the same time the Islamic countries, and you have Pakistan as a atomic bomb. So so I was thinking about this. Yeah, that was the question.
So you're basically asking what would happen if the United States would keys to support Israel. I mean, on one hand, I think it wouldn't be news to anybody. It would be catastrophic for Israel. But at the same time, I think Israel has shown that it has an ability of hold its own, and it's also, it's also fostering relationships with other countries, including some of the Arabic countries that seem to be, trying to modernize themselves and, reform the old traditions that have been holding the Arab world back with the whole Muslim religion and the reformation of that religion. But it's a sort of hypothetical, so my answer is also hypothetical.
I'm not an expert, but I could see what would be a problem for Israel is, let's say the United States dropped their support, but then China, Russia, Iran, they were all like, yeah, fuck you, Israel. And pretty much everybody shunned them, and a lot of countries felt emboldened to go after them, knowing that they were not going to have to face the wrath of these major world superpowers. That would take that's a hypothetical that I don't really see happening. But.
Yeah, neither do I, because are you saying that the United States would stop helping Israel? Because Israel is a burning beacon of Western values and surrounded by totalitarian regimes. So it's in the best interest of the United States, in order to support its trade network and kind of have an example of a country that is successful with those Western values in the East. I think it's in the best interest of the United States.
Do you know that Israel has the amount of American citizens living there than some major cities in America?
Yeah, it's what is it, 11 million total?
I'm talking about American citizens.
Huh? It has as many American citizens living there as many...
who have American citizens? There's about 7...
Yeah, I'm not surprised there. I do have questions for the West, though, and I do get this sixth sense that maybe the West is going to have some dark times ahead of it. And I do think views, it is going to affect views of Israel. When you look at the younger demographics and their views, when it comes to how much they care about democracy, how much more open they are to having an authoritarian ruler,
what their views are on things like Israel, feminism, a lot of shit. It's quite a bit different, and I do think that one thing people have to look at is the demographics, for example, of Europe, which is the bulk, and the United States, the bulk of the power in the Western world. The children that are being born there are largely today non-Western. And of course, in Europe's case, a lot more of them are Muslim. And I don't know demographically how well that's gonna work out for maintaining Western values that at least we've enjoyed from the second half of the last century.
Pepe, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that the loudest voices against Israel in America...
You're breaking in and out. I only heard do I think the loudest voices, and then you cut out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that the loudest voices against Israel, the Groypers, the people who are the loudest voices against Israel, do you really think that they're going to be able to sustain that rhetoric into the next generation that they have direct influence over? These people don't date.
You're breaking up.
Well, I can answer that. In a short part, yes. What you saw, and it's really weird to see this, because being in the dissident right years ago and I remember kind of being amazed maybe 2 or 3 years ago, seeing how a lot of the things I would only hear in far right circles, never on the mainstream, were really starting to pop up. If I was to go on X right now, it's anything and everything I saw back then is kind of gone mainstream. And it is what's really weird is it's also become kind of a multicultural
Voices against Israel.
quasi-white nationalist, quasi-Nazi, and in a weird way, quasi-pro-Western amalgamation, where you have the big people like Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines, all of these people of color, Kanye West, talking shit about their own people, black people, foreigners, the Jews. Then of course, a part of it too is you have to understand, when we were young, because I'm in my 40s, being punk rock was your way to rebel. It was getting tattoos and coloring your hair weird colors and that kind of stuff. But now that's kind of become, for the last decade or so, that's kind of oh hey, we embrace all of this shit. Corporate media, social media, academic institutions, being that person is kind of considered in a way the new wholesome. And so I think you kind of saw a natural rebellion of young men who are well, fuck tattoos and fuck embracing homosexuality. I'm straight. In fact, I'm super straight. And I'm going to go to church because you people don't do it. Yeah, that I'm really rebelling now. And I'm going to be very misogynistic. All of this stuff. I see these young men rebelling, which is kind of, in a way, I think somewhat predictable.
Exactly.
Much of the way people in the 60s did in the opposite direction.
And eventually, a lot of these people, the hippie love child, a lot of them became conservatives. A lot of people chase it on college campuses. I'd like to see what their rhetoric.
You can't make this shit up.
I mean, it's kind of a trope. Like, it's not a trope, but it's a joke. A lot of people will make, like, particularly like those in I've listened to academics in political sciences and sociology and so forth talk about this. You do get the group of people that tend to overshoot, and they do tend to be the loudest. The people that will shoot to the far left or to the far right as reactionaries tend to be like over the top and stupid, and generally their minds are pretty malleable or malleable. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I do think that, like, when it comes to Israel in particular, like, there was a significant event that happened, less than 80 years ago, and it was it kind of like served as an example to say, like, hey, this is what happens if you take, like, rhetoric, especially far right rhetoric, too far, or ideas too far, and I mean, as we go further and further away from that, and as the populations of Europe and America are less and less European, I think it's gonna weigh on their conscious and their what they think is in the scope of appropriate discourse, like, way less.
Well, and I'm glad that you mentioned appropriate discourse, because I don't think that it's going to come down to conscience. I think it's going to come down to survival. The far right rhetoric and the far left rhetoric are very, very, very small microcosms that, truthfully speaking, we see a sprinkle of it in society with people protesting. We see a little bit of it on social media, but living our day-to-day lives, we're not necessarily encountering this shit on an everyday, all-day basis. You see what I'm saying? Now, I can only speak to where I live. I live in the second largest city in the country. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, people do talk a lot of shit and people do hold their beliefs. But once it gets to the point where some of these internet people start becoming comfortable and saying this shit out on the street, they're going to learn lessons very quickly.
Well, we've been, like, I think, like, what we've
experienced. So, I mean, it's a problem, but I don't feel like it's as big of a problem as a lot of people are making it seem to be on.
Oh, I think it's a huge problem.
As far as, no, but I'm saying as far as that, speaking to that being like a litmus test as to the rest of what the collective population feels. It is a problem online. Don't get me wrong. I would be the first to say that. My whole point is that I don't think that it exemplifies the way that the average American or the average people in these said places actually think. And I'm talking specifically in America. I'm not talking about overseas. I'm talking about in America.
Well, I think that, like, even with the Democrats, and that was kind of their big problem, is that the far left wackies and the squad and so forth, they kept some chains on the mainstream, or I should say the more moderate Democrats, and you're kind of seeing the same thing with Republicans. A lot of people are having their feet held to the fire because they're not they don't believe with the further right wing or extremist point of view. I would just caution this, like, a lot of, like, 80 years.
But how much power does the extremist point of view hold in America to where Republicans need to concede? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yes, these people are very loud. Some of them have a very big mic. But at the end of the day, Alex Jones does not control elections.
Yeah, well, Alex Jones is a retard. But I'm talking about, like, in reality, and I don't want to hog the mic, I would just say this. If we look out the last 80 years or so, that's a small blip in history. I mean, there were times where in Mesopotamia, even when it was Muslim, it was considered progressive, and they're, better than Europe, in most places in Europe. It's everything can change, and it's a shitty thing to have to think about, but I don't see, like, even the United States. I don't think we're always going to be a superpower. I don't see how that's even possible. I just, but I do think that, like, as we've seen that the standards have changed, the standards of living for Americans, like buying a house, being able to one income, be able to support a whole fucking families in the 60s. Yeah, I mean, after we fucked up Europe and Japan and we weren't competing with them, at least when it came to manufacturing, we could afford all that, but that all fucking changed. And the quote unquote good old days were like literally a blip.
So
that was not sustainable.
Pepe, when you talk about the good old days, the 1950s and the 1960s, okay, people's priorities are different. Okay, they have different attitudes towards leisure. That is around the time that you saw the explosion of the suburban market, not to be filmed on Housewives, but for people to be in ecosystems where their kids can play outside. Somewhere along the way, our generational priorities have changed.
Yeah,
and that is where there's an imbalance in terms.
Well, there
I'm not
was a
talking
Marshall
about birth
Plan and birth control. There's a lot of things that changed since those days.
Go ahead, Andre. I think you were trying to say something. But...
Oh, I was just going to ask you. Do you think that radicals don't control the narrative in politics nowadays?
To some degree, yes, but the funding behind it, no.
I think they still push it. I still think they.
Yeah. So I actually there was about 3 or 4 years I've heard this description of how the democratic or free societies work, and I really kind of liked it. So I adopted that view. It's not the majority that makes that wags the tail. It's a very, very vocal minority. So it's the people who really, really want to change it. So they can convince the rest of the population that it's more or less indifferent to whatever the issue is, to go along with them and to vote with them. And it seems to be like with all of those drastic changes, especially when it was concerned about like minority populations, it seemed to be the case where the minority that really needs the change will make its case very loudly and very, forcefully, and then the majority just goes along with it. And one of the another interesting things I've noticed is that have you heard about this experiment in Colorado when they divided people into two homogenous political groups and kind of saw like what happened to them in terms of the inner group dynamic? Have you heard about this experiment? So I think that was in late 2000s, and what they did, they basically had a group in Colorado Springs, which is highly conservative, and then they had a Denver group. It was not a large group. I think it was like about 15 or so people. And their hypothesis was that because you didn't have to fight the opposition, you will kind of relax your views and you become more moderate because there's no conflict to be had. But the opposite actually happened instead, because people needed to emphasize themselves within the homogeneous point of view. They became more and more radical because they had to, within that kind of stream of thought, they had to make themselves more visible. So they became more and more radicalized. And
yes, you bring up a good point. No, that is real. It's called tribal signaling. So
yes, exactly. That's exactly what it was. It was tribal signaling.
Tribal signaling.
It's happening in the internet sphere, and then it starts spilling out in the real life because people they lose the barrier that they understand between like the world online and the world with real people. And so like how they behave on Facebook in those homogenous communities, it kind of spills in the way they act in the real life.
It's correct. And so like you can look at it two different ways, from the left and the right. Like the left, it could be these white colonial people. I know Israel's mostly non-white, but let's go with what they like to say. Genocidal people. Then somebody will say, well, from the river to the sea, what does that mean? Oh yeah, well, I mean, to be honest with you, it means we need to fucking kill these people. They're genociders, they're colonizers. Do you really care about freedom? If you're not really for the fight, then maybe this isn't for you. But I actually care about justice. and that's their way of like posturing, and then they move people to the left. And of course, the right, you guys can kind of get it. I don't need to do another example, but that is a and it's also another term for it is purity spiraling, where when you go on through tribal signaling, people end up doing a purity spiral where you're only a true I don't know, radical leftist or a true